Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Higurashi When They Cry Chapter 1. It's your boy Karagol Gaming, and you know how we do things around here. Last episode, we lost a game of cards when the girls presumably drew dicks on our faces, so now we are back home and we are about to see how our mother reacts to the situation. What am I playing? I don't know. The mood I had come home to was already on edge. It's not an uncommon thing in our family. What do you mean? Whenever Dad can't come up with a good idea, it always ends up like this. He stomps around the house with his arms crossed. Mom whispered into my ear.
おかえり、ケイチ。お父さん大変そうだからそっとしてあげてね。
またアイデアに詰まったわけ？
今回は締め切りが重なったからね。お父さん充電期間がないと大変だから。
Dad's paintings feed our entire family, so if he runs out of ideas, it's the end of the Maibaras. We've never gone hungry before. Could it be that my dad is a master painter?
家の中をうろうろしないで、表に散歩でも行った方がアイデア。
今回は生活空間がテーマだから、お父さんこの家をモチーフにしたいみたい。
That's quite a bothersome motive.
ケイチ、部屋の中を少しは片付けなさい。
Your paintings look terrible, Pa.
ごめん。後で片付けるよ。
Ah, come on. Please don't use my room as the
ケイ
motif.
チ、お夕飯までまだ時間があるから、表でも散歩してらっしゃい。
Dad's moods are only temporary. As soon as he gets an idea, his mood improves and he starts humming. Until then, it wouldn't be a bad idea to just go take a walk so I don't aggravate him further. I walked the entire fucking day.
じゃあそうするかな。
This is whack. I said I was going to take a walk, but I didn't have any particular destination in mind. I just needed to kill some time. I got on my bike and pondered where to go. I could just go read at the bookstore, but it would take about an hour by bike to get to town. Hence, killing time. That works for me. It would be dark by the time I got back, so I didn't want to go unless I had to. The roads at night here in Hinamizawa creep me the fuck out. If Mion and Satoko ever found out about that, I smiled wryly. Oh yeah, Rena was probably still at the Mountain of Treasure, the damn construction site. The excavation of Colonel Randy was probably taking her a while. Colonel Sanders much? It wouldn't be so bad to have her owe me one, you
次
know?
の部活の時に恩返ししてもらえるかもしれないしな。
As a big mite. With a little bit of self-interest in mind, I set off toward the damn construction site. Tomitake-san might be there as well. The only person with information about the incident that both Rena and Mion denied knowing anything about. If I met him again, I would like to ask for more details. To ask, was there really a dismemberment here in Hinamizawa? That was my real intention. I think you already know the answer to that question. The real questions are, do we know who? Do we know why? I spotted Rena struggling up on the slope of the garbage pile. It looked like Colonel Randy was lodged in there pretty firmly. It didn't look like Rena would be able to excavate him all by herself. Realizing that Tomitake-san wasn't around, I began climbing down the slope unsteadily.
よーレナ、精が出ますな。
ケイチくん。どうしたの？こんなところへ。
A place like this, huh? I see. She was aware of it at least.
事故発生の緊急通報を受け参上しました。負傷者はどこでありますか？
事故って、
Ah, damn you, Dance.
ランディ君人形がゴミ山に生き埋めになっているとの通報でしたが。
なんだ、びっくりした。ケイチくん脅かさないでよ。
冗談だよ。レナが一人で困ってるだろうなって思ってさ。
レナのために？
Shut up. Well, I filled my quota for today. If I don't see Rena blush at least once a day, then I'm not getting my daily required nutritional intake.
冗談だよ。こっちまで恥ずかしくなるだろ
冗談ってどこからだろう。
I just ignored her bewilderment.
う。俺、どいた。で、どこだよ、ランディ君は。
あ、ごめん。ほら、この隙間から見える？
こりゃ、本当に生き埋めだな。
Colonel Randy was sideways, surrounded by boards and other construction materials, like they were caging him inside. According to Rena, it wasn't like this yesterday. It seems as though another illegal dumper came yesterday, dumped again, and now he's buried like this.
この山を一人でどけるつもりだったのか？その細い腕で。
There is no way she would be able to do that with her slender arms.
でもランディ君人形かいいんだもん。お店のランディ君には鎖がついてるけど、これならお持ち帰りできる。はう。
If Rena gave up on this Colonel Randy, she would probably start devising a plan to steal the one in front of the store. As Rena's guardian, I won't allow her to sully her hands with crime.
どいてろよ。俺がやる。
Rena blushed again, but this time I left it alone. The pile was enormous. Also, the more days we wasted, the more likely another illegal dumping would occur. If it got buried any deeper, there would be nothing that could be done.
ケイチ君、レナも手伝えるよ。
帰って邪魔になるから下がってろって。よいしょー。
Pulling out scraps, bending them and tossing them aside, I quickly became covered in sweat and dust. Flying objects drew beautiful arcs across the twilight sky, one after another. Lumber, timber, plywood. Damn it! No matter how much I threw out, there was still more. Even though I could see Colonel Randy right there. After grandstanding like that in front of Rena, I felt frantic because of how little I had progressed.
本気でやるなら、斧とかノコギリとかがいるかもしれねえな。
もういいよ、ケイチ君。すごい汗だよ。そんな無理しなくてもいいよ。
レナのためにやってるだけだ。気にするな。
Rena began sputtering and turned beet red. Ah, whoops. I meant to say I was trying my best as to keep her from becoming a criminal. Oh well.
さすがに休憩。こいつは手強いぜ。
I sprawled on my back over the grassy slope.
ごめんね。すごい汗だく。
Rena patted her handkerchief against my forehead. It felt pretty fucking nice.
あのさ、ちょっとここで休んでてね。私、家近いから。麦茶とか持ってきてあげるね。
Leaving the handkerchief on my forehead, Rena took off running. The cries of the Higurashi gently cooled the air. After I was certain that Rena was gone, I picked myself up and headed towards what I had discovered earlier. That was a garbage pile of magazines and newspapers bound up in the twine. Unless I'm mistaken, I believe it was around here? There it was. They were bound stacks of not-so-reputable tabloids. They were stacked chronologically, going back quite a few years. It was quite a disturbing incident. They still haven't found one of the arms. If it was just as Tomitake-san said, then undoubtedly there would be a mention of the murder. These are troubled times. There is no end to these sickening incidents. There was a large part of society drawn in by these incidents as well, so it had to be recorded. Somewhere. I unfastened the packages and opened the rain-soaked pages carefully, looking over the table of contents. Not here. Next one. Not here. Next one. It was hard to search since I didn't know when it happened. I didn't know who the perpetrator or the victim was either. I only knew it had happened here. I looked up every so often checking to see if Rena had come back or not. I wouldn't want her to see me gawking at a dirty magazine, but it wasn't just that. Both Rena and Mion said they didn't know, but it had happened without a doubt. As long as Tomitake-san wasn't lying, then if both Rena and Mion, yep, there was. If they had just said that, then I wouldn't have gotten so hung up on it. An incident that neither Rena or Mion wished to talk about? Trying to uncover it after they tried to conceal it out of good intentions. That made me feel like I was acting against my friends. Hinamizawa dam worker lynching, murder by dismemberment. Here it is. The featured article was in the back, and it seemed there was a photograph in the colored pages at the front. The pages of the featured article were stuck together and weren't easy to open. Rena could return at any moment. So take the magazine back to your home and just browse through it at your own pace. Feeling rushed, I gave up and opened the photograph page. The police investigators were carrying a body bag and newspaper reporters were all bathing it in camera flashes. The image was blurry and hard to understand, but I could definitely make out the headlines. A tragic nightmare at the Hinamizawa construction site, lynching and murder/dismemberment. The victim was the site foreman. He had assaulted his assailants daily with an explosive backlash from his daily actions. It's a horrible image to see the site foreman as... It happened. It really did happen. When? It seemed the details were on the next page. I turned the page without pausing. On it was... The assailants butchered the victim's body with hatchets and then used an axe to split the cadaver into 6 pieces, the head, arms, legs, and torso. I did not... Hold on, we missed something probably. I did not go forward. Hatchets and pickaxes. 6 of them, right? So everyone tore off a piece? There you go. I could understand just from the headline that it was just too terrible an incident. Normally, a lynching is just assault and murder, right? Dismemberment with hatchets and pickaxes? That wasn't a lynching. It was a merciless killing to the letter, a brutal murder done by a group of people with hatchets, with pickaxes, with a hatchet. Jesus.
ごめんなさい。驚いたかな？驚いたかな？
What? Rena dropped the hatchet she was holding onto the grass after being startled by my voice.
ケイイチくんね、さっきほら、斧とかがあると便利だって言ったじゃない？
Why did you not announce your fucking presence earlier, Rena?
それでね、レナ、物置からちゃんとナタ持ってきたんだよ。
Rena fluttered her arms in panic, continuing to explain and apologize. It seemed I had been glaring at her pretty intensely.
ごめん。ちょっとオーバーに驚きすぎたかな。
こっちこそごめんね。ごめんね。
Night was drawing close. I was pretty worn out, and it wouldn't hurt to do the rest tomorrow.
最後の針はそのナタじゃないと壊せそうにない。せっかく持ってきてくれたんだし、明日借りるよ。な。何しょんぼりしてるんだよ。明日にはランディ君が掘り出せるんだぜ。
そうだよね。早くランディ君をお持ち帰りしたい。
We both knew it was useless to apologize any more than that. I quenched my thirst with the barley tea Rena brought, and wiped the sweat off that had now gone cold. We took the path to head home. This tea could be poisoned. I felt quite guilty about the tabloid wrapped up in my jacket. The Hinamizawa Dam Project. October 1975. In accordance with the Prime Minister's Bulletin Number XXX, Hinamizawa's Electrical Development Master Plan was announced. The vast scope of the projected Hinamizawa Dam was to have an incredibly heavy impact on the village of Hinamizawa. The area to be flooded by Hinamizawa Dam would include 5 areas of Hinamizawa: Takatsuro, Kiyotsu, Matsumoto, and Yagochi. The submerged area would include 291 houses. Population 1251. 1 elementary school, 1 middle school, 1 post office, 1 agricultural cooperative, 1 forestry department lumberyard, 5 shrines, 2 temples, and 1 fishery. All of these communal, cultural, agricultural areas and places of worship were to be indefinitely submerged at the bottom of the artificial lake basin. Forsaking the hundreds of years our ancestors poured their blood and sweat into this fertile, resource-rich land was just too painful to bear. All the residents having homes that were to be submerged banded together and created the Onikakushi Defense Alliance. The dam project was halted and petitions to alter the plan were circulated. The citizens sought peaceful negotiations, but government and its puppet company, 5X, openly refused. Performing unspeakable heinous acts, they quashed the democratic actions of the villagers. But the villagers did not falter. Instead, they banded together even more closely and steeled their resolve to protect their homes to the death. The continuation of that frightening Hinamizawa Dam construction project is still stalled as of today. The villagers understand that the stalling was caused by sublime power through unity. And they understand that this fearsome plan has not been fully withdrawn. The Onikakushi Defense Alliance had been dissolved after it did its part, but the feelings of unity it garnered have not yet been extinguished. As long as that passion resides in the hearts of the residents, they will be able to confront whomever next decides to sink their homes into a lake basin. ODA Committee Chairman Kichiro Kimiyoshi. Oh, I thought I was going to say something else, but... Special tabloid thingy. Nightmare befalls Hinamizawa Dam. Lynching and murder dismemberment. On X day of X month in the XX prefecture of the Hinamizawa Dam construction work in Shishibone City, a bone-chillingly gruesome murder dismemberment. Even though this case has shocked the archipelago, the police will give no details on the case, exactly what happened at the Hinamizawa Dam. They probably didn't mean to kill him at first, but as the victim resisted by swinging around a shovel, the rest of the perpetrators armed themselves in return, and it escalated quickly to homicide. So said the aforementioned investigator A. After this bloody tragedy was over, they were left with a body which nobody could have mistaken as alive. XX-san had tormented the suspects daily with his rough behavior. At first, it was meant to be payback. All the perpetrators were horrified by their deed, and one even turned himself in to the police. It was the de facto leader of this group, XX, who suggested hiding the body. Reluctantly at first, they soon began to think they did not wish to be caught. The construction site had numerous places to hide the body with 6 people. They were originally supposed to hide the body and leave the area, but the de facto leader feared that the consciences of the other 5 wouldn't be able to bear the burden, and came up with a horrifying method to keep them from turning him into the police. He devised the heinous method of splitting up the body among them and making them each responsible for hiding a piece. XX had turned a simple manslaughter into a gruesome dismemberment and forcibly involved each perpetrator in order to create a sense of unity between them. Each one participated, but what does this mean? Person A spoke out reluctantly. XX had ordered each and every one of them to dissect a piece for themselves. They were all hesitant at first, but nobody refused. In for a penny, in for a pound was what it meant. And if you refused, well, more parts to dismember, I suppose. Thus, an unimaginable bloody ceremony began. The perpetrators wept and vomited as they performed the gruesome task. There was one person who stubbornly refused, but XX threatened them, saying nothing would change if someone else ended up dead, and he gave up in his objections. But XX plans collapsed in the span of one night. Triple X, who had refused to dissect the corpse up until the last moment, had broken down into tears at the hospital where he was waiting to be treated for an injury sustained during the scuffle and confessed. The criminals were arrested one after the other, but the de facto leader's Double X's whereabouts were still unknown. Also, the right arm hidden by XX has yet to be found. Despite an ongoing search, this horrible individual has so far managed to elude law enforcement. What could the police be doing? It appears that XX has said he was going to throw the body, right arm, into the marsh. XX's car was discovered abandoned near the marsh, but there were no clues to his whereabouts. XX did not trust his companions. One cannot deny the possibility that he had expected his companions to confess to the police and use his car as a decoy. Of course, I doubt that theory. Since he has no car, one would expect him to have a limited area to which he could have escaped to. But within the station, there were rumors going around that he had accidentally slipped and drowned in the marsh when he meant to throw away the body. To the locals, the marsh is believed to be bottomless. It is known as Onikakushi, the Ogre's Abyss, and it's said that the bottom of the marsh is connected to the hellish world of demons, the atrocious demon from hell that was XX. Could it be that he had returned to hell through the marsh? The Zijin Dragon, bringer of luck and fortune, prosperous future, ladies leaping into your arms, business success, promotions, ambition, protection from harm, not just with pachinko and horse races, but with business and even love. Guaranteed or your money back. Zijin Dragon Bracelet DX, 1 piece. That's it. The function of the school as an educational facility is very questionable. Our PE class is exceptionally disorganized. The only things we do together are the warm-ups at the start. The teacher isn't even there after that. All we do is play together.
仕方ないじゃん。年齢も性別もバラバラだし。
一応ね、体育の時間は校庭で体を動かすのだけが決まりなの。
All the little kids were gallivanting about. Well, they certainly were being active. They might be getting plenty of exercise, but...
きっと教育委員会はこの学校を見落としてるんだろうな。
お待たせしましたです。さてご一同様、今日の体育は何をいたしましょう。
おっしゃ、これでいつものメンバー全員集合だな。
さて委員長、今日は一体どんな体育をやるのかな？やるのかな？
Mion harumphed and crossed her arms haughtily, surveying the area.
瞬発力と持久力。スポーツの世界においては仲間などいない。すべてがライバル。信じられるのは己の肉体のみ。
なんだそりゃ。漫画の読みすぎだろ。
I quipped without missing a beat.
てわけで、温故知新。古いながらもすべての要素を詰め込んだ屋外乱戦の王様。鬼ごっこで行こう。
It was quite the adorable choice to make after playing it up so much.
望むところですわ。ノロマナケイチさんは家の一番に鬼ですの。僕だって負けませんです。レナも頑張るもの。
なんでお前らそんなにやる気満々なんだよ。
快速第3条。ゲームは絶対に楽しく参加しなければならない。
じゃあこれ部活なのかよ。
Everyone smirked at each other. They all seemed pretty confident. I'm a man. Physically, I should be able to keep up with any girl my own age. Regardless, Mion and Sotoko looked like they were aiming for victory, and Rena was looking at me as if pitying my disadvantage.
上等だぜ。乗ってやらー！
My yell echoed across the school grounds. These were the rules. Anyone who was able to evade being tagged before the bell was a winner. But we didn't switch who was it. the ones who were attacked by it also became it. So the number of people who were it could increase exponentially. The endgame would be a hellish siege.
ここいらではこの遊びのことゾンビ鬼って呼んでるけどね。
なるほど。食われたやつがゾンビ化するからな。
なんでそんな怖いこと言うんだろう。
レナを捕まえたら生きたままお腹を食い破ってやるからな。
やだよケイチ君、そんなのや。
But how do you select the loser then? The first one that becomes it or a zombie? Rika-chan placed her hand on Rena's head as she panicked.
大丈夫です。ケイチに食われる前に僕が優しく食べてあげますです。リカ、それは全然慰めになってませんわ。
Both Mion and I noted deeply.
最初の鬼、ゾンビはどうやって決める？じゃんけんか？
一応授業時間だからね。問題を出すから答えられなかったやつがゾンビ。
I have no idea which grade level they're coming from, but this also means that she can't... She's exempt from this, considering she's coming up with the questions.
6は英語で。
Ah? I was bewildered by the sudden question. Mion repeated it.
だから答えるの。6は英語で。
Fuck do I know what a rock is?
6だ。
なら靴下は。
ソックスだね。
アルファベットの後ろから3つ目。
X ですよ。
では性別は英語で。
もちろんわかりますわ。
Cauliflower.
それは。
Satoko cut herself off before finishing the answer. I see. It's quite a lewd question.
サトコは大人だもんね。知らないわけはないよね。
知ってますもの。知ってるもん。
じゃあ言ってごらんよ。あれだよ。あれ。あれは英語で。
はあ、さとこちゃん困ってる。かいい。
The fuck?
持ち帰るなよ。犯罪だからな。
If I didn't nip it in the bud, she really might have tried to take her home. Mion's pursuit was relentless, making Satoko stammer.
さあ言ってごらんよ大声。あれは英語で何という？
知ってるもん。だからザットですよ。ザット。は。
All of us were a bit surprised by Rika-chan's unexpected answer. I see. Well, it certainly is what that means. That could have been awkward. I wonder what I would have done in Satoko's position. I would probably get ticked off and just blurt out you know what at the top of my fucking lungs. I wouldn't want you as my enemy, Mion Sonozaki. Thank goodness you were born a girl. If you were a boy, you would probably be a perverted asshole.
仕方ありませんわね。不詳、この北条さと子がゾンビ役を務めさせてもらいますわ。みんな食い殺してやりますですな。
It seems like she's raring to go.
100数えればいいんですの？
Or 10.
100数えるのはズルするやつがいるからな。俺の問題が解けたら追ってよし。
ケイチ君、簡単なのにしてあげてね。
5分の1のケーキと6分の1のケーキと7分の1のケーキを一皿に乗せました。
What the fuck?
分母が違いますですの。
Satoko grabbed a stick in panic and began drawing a cake and fractions on the
ケ
ground.
ーキ1個を60秒で食べられるサトコがそれを全部食べるとお皿にはケーキがいくつ残っているでしょう。
Just as I finished giving the word problem, Mion shouted.
よーいドン。
On Mion's signal, everyone but Satoko scattered.
ケイチ君、それ問題じゃないよね。
Satoko had already lost the moment she started working it out. She's eating it all, so of course there is nothing left on the plate. Everyone dashed off in the direction they thought was best. Knowing the lay of the land, they probably headed right to the best spots. It was obvious I was at a disadvantage. At a time like this, it would have been more effective to go along with those trained in survival skills. Like Mion, for example. The fact that I didn't realize it at the start of the game probably hurt my chances. Glancing back at the school grounds, I saw Satoko just rising up to start. She was really mad. Hahaha. She got tripped up on such a dumb question. I stood at one of the corners of the school. I had clear sightlines in two directions and would probably have a good response time if any zombies started closing in. For the time being, I caught my breath and focused on what I was trained to think during club activities yesterday. Now think calmly, Keiichi Maibara. If I was it, what would I do? Increasing my numbers would be the shortcut to victory. Then going after the weakest player first is the obvious plan of attack. Meaning, me.
さて圭一さんはどこでございましょう。逃がしませんことよ。
But of course, what would be the best method to track me down? Footprints or smell, or maybe some type of trail. If I could craftily hide my tracks, then there would be no trail for Satoko to follow. But I was no detective. Would I even be able to do that kind of thing in an amateur game like this?
どう見た？岡村。圭一さんを見かけなかったでございませんこと？
What the heck? The zombies hunt their prey asking nicely where they went? Tomita-kun and Okamura-kun pointed to the location where I was hiding. After confirming she was headed in this direction, I abandoned my position. It wasn't easy to hide myself with those little kids running around as they pleased. It was becoming even more obvious that I was at a disadvantage from not being familiar with these surroundings. If that's how it was going to be, then to confront this intelligence gathering zombie, I would just counter it in a similar vein. I approached some girls playing with a ball.
すまんが伝言を頼まれてくれ。北条聡子にご両親が校門に来てるぞってな。
伝言。いいよいいよ。
I stopped the girls as they turned to run off.
待て、まだ行くな。あと園崎美音にもだ。先生が校門のところで呼んでるぞって伝えてくれ。
I am quite the schemer if I do say so myself. If things went well, then Satoko and Mion would run into each other at the gate. It would put me at a disadvantage if more people were it, but this was Mion we were talking about. She would figure out a way to escape, but that was just fine. As long as it bought me more time. Dance for me, Mion and Satoko. In the palm of my hand. Having my fill of playing the conman, I'll look for a place to hide. If you think about it logically, I had only bought myself a scant amount of time. And it might even come back to bite me. Once it became apparent I had started spreading false information through messengers, I could end up being the recipient of one of those messages. Satoko would probably ask the messengers to help her look for me. That would mean there would be more zombies than participants in the game. The virus that was brought about by my mischief could cause an epidemic. All my classmates would transform into zombies and would only be searching for me. This tactic might backfire horribly. While trembling at the thought of the impending dawn of the dead, I began searching for a safe house. I found a shed by the incinerator behind the school. After climbing up to the roof, I held my breath. It wasn't a bad place to hold out. Not only did I have a good line of sight, but if necessary, I could jump off in 3 different directions to escape. It was getting rowdy down there. The lower grades were running around below the shed.
いないね、前原さん。そっちいた？いない。圭一さんどこだろう？お父さんが校門に来てるのにね。
That was definitely a lie. The word gate, the same one I had used, gave a hint of revenge. So Mion was behind this. I was still keeping one step ahead of the game. I felt bad for my underclassmen, but they would have to search until the school bell.
ねえねえ、圭一さん知らない？お母さんが急病で大変なんだって。前原さんに伝言だよ。家が火事だから急いで校門に来いって。
前原さん家にジャンボ機が墜落したらしいよ。
Jesus.
警察が事情聴取に来てるって言ってた。
Anything goes now.
趣味は抱き枕のコレクションなんだって。
Eh?
夜な夜なベッドで抱きながら寝てるって本当なの？
Who are they talking about?
ふにふにの柔らかい感触がたまんないって。
No way I would do that.
委員長の写真貼り付けたのもあるらしいよ。
This was your doing, Mion. Calm down, Keiichi Maebara. This is Mion's battle tactic to flush me out. Just hold on. If my underclassmen thought about it logically, they would know it's all nonsense. But small kids don't think about things logically. To them, all of those things are true, so they chuckle together while looking for me. I win, Mion. It's my victory. Wiping unrelenting tears away, I felt intoxicated by my own victory.
聞いた？転校生の前原さんって二次元萌えの人なんだって。
The cost of beating Mion had too high a price. Ah, ooh, someone passed below. That's Rena and Rika-chan.
リカちゃんはまだ無事かな。なんとか頑張ってますです。みーちゃんも鬼になっちゃったみたいなの。
Mion? It couldn't be. She'd become it because of my little strategy? This confirmed that Mion was behind this relenting message war. Then, this wasn't good.
みーちゃんはなんとか巻いたけど、さとこちゃんは。さとこは土管のところを探してますから、ここはしばらくは安全ですよ。
Upon hearing that, I breathed a sigh of relief. While Rena was slumped on the ground breathing heavily, Rika-chan had started to creep up to her. Oh, she's a zombie! Rika-chan doesn't normally make noise when she walks, but it's strange. It couldn't be.
リカちゃん？何かな？何かな？大丈夫ですよ。
I had never seen Rika-chan smile so creepily before.
なんで近寄ってくるのかな。リカちゃんはゾンビじゃないもんね。怖くないです。僕が優しく食べてあげますです。嘘だよね。リカちゃんがそんな。
Rena was pressed against the wall and Rika-chan lurched forward with both arms out, just like a zombie. Rena quaked with her back pushed up against the wall. It was quite a surreal scene of horror, like one of those zombie breakout videos you would see. At that moment, Rena's eyes met mine. Zombie Rika-chan turned at 180 degrees, ecstasy style, and glared at me.
いた！ケイちゃん見っけ！
Mion popped out from behind the cinder block wall around the garbage dump. Mion popped out from behind the cinder block wall around the garbage dump, also seeing where I was. My position was only advantageous when there was one zombie. Being surrounded was not as good.
ケイイチさんを見つけたですって？
I could tell that Satoko was rushing my way. It seemed that Rika-chan had let Rena escape and now she was baring her fangs in my direction.
降りてこーい。ケイちゃん。
The three zombies circled the shed, moaning curses.
お前ら怖い！怖すぎる！
ケイイチさんの腹渡はどんな味がするのかしら。ケイイチさん。ケイイチも僕たちの仲間になってほしいです。
誰か助けてくれ！
I saw Rena apologizing to me from across the schoolyard. An apology, sorry, leaving me for dead. Rena! I leapt off of the roof out of fear, slipping as I landed. Satoko and Rika jumped on top of me. After straddling me, they tickled me all over my body.
ってことは、あとはレナか。 チャイムまであと何分もない。
のれレナ、よくも俺を見殺しに。
This is really good voice acting, by the way. The feelings of a zombie. I understood how vengeful ghosts with lingering regrets felt.
かわいそです。でもこれで圭一も仲間ですよ。
It felt like I had been bitten by a vampire and was now one of their thralls. It was a strange feeling being welcomed over to the side that had pursued me.
ゾンビ鬼、なかなか奥深し。
気取ってる場合じゃありませんわ。
How do you know that word?
レナを捕まえるのですの。
校長が廊下を歩いてる。もうすぐチャイムが鳴るよ。
To devour Rena, I, who had turned into a demon of vengeance, needed to use any means necessary. Except, I wasn't just a zombie. I was a master of the night, a vampire. Using the same trick that had tightened the noose around my own neck, I used my classmates to further my evil designs. I gathered up the lower grades from around the school
みんな
grounds.
聞いてくれ。レナが大変なんだ。今すぐレナを探し出してくれ。
前原さん家にジャンボ機が落っこちたことより大変なの？
Oh yeah, it had turned into that, hadn't it? Mion whistled nonchalantly, trying to avoid the blame.
ああ、ジャンボ機なんか目じゃないぞ。レナン地に墜落したのはなんと小惑星だ。
小惑星ですって？
ああ、宇宙人が作った装置でまさか俺もそこまでやるとは思わな。しかも続いて今度は100個も。地球軍の完全な誤算だ。
The lower graders were dumbfounded, their eyes like saucers at the grand turn of events.
地球軍って私たち宇宙人と戦争でもしてるんですか？
What? Yes.
このままでは地球は壊滅だ。しかしレナの放つ音速のマッハレナパンチなら、そう地球軍のトップエース、それが竜宮レナなのだ。
The lower grade students all gulped. It seemed I had made them fully understand that the fight for Earth was lost without
さ
Rena.
あチレ、同志諸君、レナを探し出すのだ。
Huh? There was still one person who hadn't
で
gone.
もたとえレナさんでも月を押し戻すことなんてできるんでしょうか？
心配無用だ。つい先日もレナは地球に激突するはずの水星爆弾を小惑星の100個や200個くらい。
竜宮さんってすごいんだ。
Why are all the windows boarded up? Satisfied with that, she also rushed off to look for Rena. It does seem like there are some promising up-and-comers amongst the youngsters.
ケイちゃんの才能をおじさんは改めて知ったよ。
It didn't really feel like she was complimenting me, but whatever.
しかし圭一さんもやるでございますわね。これは頼もしいですわ。
でもこの人数なら勝てる。これだけいれば勝てるよ。
圭一はゾンビに立候補した方が良かったと思いましたです。
Rika Chang's words stung a bit, but I'll let it slide for now. Not even Rena would be able to escape the entire class. As a result of everyone's thorough search, Rena was finally cornered in the back of the sports equipment shed.
怖いよみんな。圭一君まで怖いよ。
It probably was scary being chased around by the entire student body. All the lower grades closed in on Rena, saying she was the only one who could save the world.
みんなが何を言ってるのかわかんない。レナはパンチで小惑星なんか破壊できないよ。
レナ、さっきはよくも見捨てたな。
That is creepy.
覚悟はできてるだろうな。
さっきはごめんね圭一君。だって仕方なかったんだもん。
We always have a choice.
おとなしく食い尽くされるでございますの。みんなで仲良しですよ。
さあレナ、念仏でも唱えな。
Rena had stumbled onto a mat, trembling with tears in her eyes. I closed in. Associating this situation with a similar, particularly immoral one made my pulse quicken just a little bit. Satoko and Rika-chan were both wiggling their fingers. They probably wanted to tickle Rena. Rena, wanting no part of what she knew was about to happen, went stiff with fear.
圭一君はみんなみたいなひどいことしないよね。しない。
さあどうかなさて覚悟は決まったかな。
いいよ、圭一君なら。
The face she made as she resigned herself to her fate made my heart skip a beat.
圭一君はひどいことしないってレナ信じてるし。
Body won't move. That had to be some sort of anti-zombie mantra. The second my sense of reason chimed in, the beast inside me died instantly. There was the bell. Game over.
やったやった生き残ったよ。わーいわーい。
Rena pranced around merrily as if a curse had been broken.
あとわずかのところで日光が差しヒロインが生き残るのは映画のお約束だもんな。
何を気取ってるのですの。圭一さんがもたもたしてるからお仕置きしますです。
Oh, come on. I was subdued by Sotoko and Rika-chan and once again sentenced to death by 100 tickles.
許して
じゃあ生き残ったでしょうは竜宮レナと園崎美音。イエーイ。
Surviving?
あれみーちゃんゾンビじゃなかったの。
She just played a role?
ふりしてただけ。敵を騙すには味方からって言うじゃん。
うおーミオンてめえ
What the fuck?
はいはい急いで着替えないとね。次の授業に遅れんなよ。
離せサトコリカちゃん。いや
Having had my fill of being terrified to my very core by club activities, I solemnly swore I would have Mion crying for mercy next time. I think this is where we're going to call it an episode. I believe we started the episode at home and now we're gonna end it while being at home. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, man. I'll see you guys next time. We're still setting the stage and I'm very curious to see where this is gonna lead. Hopefully you guys are enjoying the ride so far as well, because the writing is good, the voice acting is good. I see potential in it. We'll see what happens though. Until next episode, this has been your boy Karagol Gaming. I'm out of here. Love y'all and deuces.